Charlie Munger, the late billionaire and Warren Buffett's right-hand man, was not a man known for profanity, but when it came to building wealth, he didn't mince words. He famously said, "The first $100,000 is a bitch, but you have to do it. I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on $100,000. Why would a man who managed hundreds of billions of dollars care so much about a measly 100K? Because Munger understood a law of financial physics that most people never stay around long enough to see. For most of you watching this, the first few years of investing feel like watching paint dry in slow motion. You're sacrificing the dinners, you're driving the beat-up sedan, and you're putting $500 or $1,000 a month into the market, and at the end of the year, your gains look like a rounding error. It feels like the effort doesn't match the reward. But today, I'm going to prove to you with brutal, cold mathematics that the first $100,000 is the only hard part of becoming a millionaire. Once you cross this line, the rules of the game change forever. Let's look at the mathematical slog. Most people quit because they think the journey to $1,000,000 is a straight line. It isn't. It's a collapse of time. Let's run the numbers. Imagine you invest $10,000 a year, about $833 a month, and you earn a standard 7% annual return. To reach the first $100,000, it takes 7.8 years. In this phase, you have contributed $78,000 of your own hard-earned cash. The market only gave you $22,000. You are doing almost all the heavy lifting. This is why it feels like a bitch. To go from $100,000 to $200,000, it takes only 5.1 years. Wait a second, you just added the exact same amount of wealth, but you shaved nearly 3 years off the clock. To go from $300,000 to $400,000, it takes just 3 years flat. To go from $600,000 to $700,000, it takes 1.9 years. The effort you put in stayed the same, but the time required to manifest wealth is evaporating. This is the secret the wealthy know. The engine is hardest to start, but once it's spinning, it's almost impossible to stop. Why does the math suddenly start cheating in your favor? Because at $100,000, your money transitions from a savings account to a full-time employee. If you have $10,000 invested, a 7% return is $700. That's a nice weekend trip, but it doesn't change your life. But at $100,000, a 7% return is $7,000 a year. If you're still contributing your $10,000 a year from your salary, your capital is now doing 70% of the work that you are doing. You have a silent partner working 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It doesn't sleep, it doesn't take vacations, and it doesn't get distracted by social media. The lily pad analogy. Imagine a lily pad in a pond that doubles in size every day. If it takes 48 days to cover the entire pond, on what day is the pond half covered? The answer is day 47. But here's the kicker. On day 24, the pond is less than 1% covered. To a casual observer, the pond looks empty. They would say, this lily pad thing is a scam. Nothing is happening. $100,000 is the point where the doubling effect becomes visible to the naked eye. The reason most people die broke isn't a lack of opportunity, it's exponential growth bias. Our brains are evolutionarily wired to think in straight lines. If we walk 10 steps, we're 10 meters away. But wealth is a curve. Because the first decade of investing often represents only about 3.6% of your lifetime gains, most people assume the system is broken. They see the tiny gains in year 3 and say, why am I bothering with this? I might as well buy the truck. They abandon the hill right before it reaches the steep part. They stop the machine right as the gears are finally starting to turn on their own. The survival tactics. How to get there. To get through the bitch phase, you need a survival strategy. Since your returns are small at the start, your savings rate is your only real lever. You have to avoid the unsexy traps that bleed your momentum. The $1.66 million car payment.
Financing a $735 a month truck might seem normal, but over a career, that's the opportunity cost of nearly $2 million in retirement. The subscription black hole, the $15 here and $20 for apps you don't use, are the friction that keeps your machine from starting. The typical millionaire isn't a 22-year-old crypto founder. Data shows they are usually accountants, teachers, or middle managers. Why? Because they were too boring to quit. They didn't need to be geniuses, they just needed to be consistent enough to let the math solve itself. The final mindset shift. Here is the ultimate reality check. The first $100,000 is 25% of the total journey to $1 million, even though it's only 10% of the money. The effort required to get that first six-figure stack is the greatest psychological and financial hurdle you will ever face. Once you cross it, you aren't just saving anymore. You are a pilot of a craft that has finally reached escape velocity. The goal isn't just a number in a bank account. It's the walking away money. It's the freedom that comes when your portfolio starts earning a part-time salary for you while you sleep. The challenge? Stop interrupting the machine. Commit to the 7.8-year slog. Don't look at the returns, look at the discipline. Once you hit $100,000, the wind will finally be at your back.